boys are back. It's episode 44. My name is Derek. In my little, I'd say fantasy pad, but there's no fantasy going on in football. I'm in my living room. That's the easiest way to say that. Taylor, he's from the dojo. As we mentioned from episode 43, Ian, he's still hanging out with us. Man, this guy's so great. Can we just give a round of applause to Ian? I just want to give a round of applause real quick. There we go. Yeah, nice little round of applause there. He's hanging around with us. This episode is centered all around the original, I won't say original, the beginnings of the offseason and free agency, or maybe not even necessarily free agency, but the intro to trade talk. This entire episode is a little segment slash show we call Pay and Play or Drop and Shop. Definition of drop, removing you from your team or the team in any way, whether it be by trade or release. I want to talk about maybe some dead cap hits as possible when referring to releases. I have y'all covered. Taylor, I'm sure you do as well. Don't be shy. These players arguably underplayed this season, some with longer active contracts, some not so much. Each one of us will have 30 seconds or more. I'm not counting. Roughly 30 seconds to tell you why their respective team or player should be paid and played or dropped and shopped. Imagine, you see where the name comes from? It's kind of like a thing, you know? If a player's already been shopped, consider if you agree with that team's decision. Current contract length should be considered as well. So we have a good chunk of names here. I didn't count how many teams, but it looks like I might have maybe 16 or 18 teams here with some players, and we're just going to chit chat about them. So we'll jump right in. Probably one of the first teams that we started talking about in terms of offseason, the Jets and their quarterback issue that really started like week 16. So with the Jets, first name that I want to posit to you and pose the discussion, Zach Wilson, pay and play or drop and shop? You doing the PP or the DS? Can we like pay and not play him?
Is he up for
I'll tell you,
extension?
he from the contract that I am seeing here. Let me pull it back up. He
Yeah, he
has
Should have one more year
go
on his
ahead.
rookie, right?
two more, right? Yeah, it expires
Yes, he's 23
2026.
and 24. Yeah, his dead cap hit is 20 million this year and 11 next year versus just paying him as 1 million base in his signing, which is 5.
Yeah, I mean, you're keeping him.
Monetarily, you have to keep him.
Right.
You have to keep him. You still have to. You invested second, the second overall pick in him, right? He was the second pick.
Right.
So, like, yeah, you still have to see what you got with him. Obviously, the rest of that team is really good, and they should be in the playoffs. If you can bring in a veteran guy who can kind of show him the ropes, give him a little more mentorship, because they kind of threw him to the wolves that
I
first
agree.
year, and the roster was awful. And a lot of times where these young quarterbacks end up really can define their careers, good or bad. And he came into a bad situation. I'm not a huge Zach Wilson fan, but you got to keep him. You got to see what he's got. You have to.
I
Can't sink
agree.
them. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't sink that much into him and let him go. I am paying and playing him. Obviously, you're paying him. It's whether you play him. I think if it's not early this year or even the majority of this year, you will eventually end up playing him to see what you have. Follow-up question. Let's say his contract, he's a free agent 2025. He has 2 years left then on this deal. He doesn't come around by the end of 2024. Moving on, right?
Yeah.
Hands down. No money tied to him. Let him go. You got
I
two
mean,
years.
if he hasn't shown anything,
Right.
for sure.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
I'll go even a step further. He hasn't shown better than what he has played so far.
If he hasn't shown better what he's played so far, then absolutely.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Same team. Next one, pay and play or drop and shop. Elijah Moore. We found out, what was it, beginning of November? He was not very happy with his targets, with his plays, with why, basically the way the team was going. In a side note, Zach Wilson. It's rounded up. We'll round it up. Um, His contract isn't horrible.
No.
Obviously, I know he's on a rookie deal, so you expect it to not be horrible. Um, are you shopping him now that you have Garrett Wilson? Are you looking for another wide receiver somewhere else? What are your thoughts on paying or not playing or shipping Elijah Moore?
I'm surprised at the lack of usage. I feel like with Wilson and Moore, they should have a decent tandem. I I would pay and play him, but I don't know what they're thinking over there. What's going on? Granted, if he's not happy there and he has a bad attitude, then maybe you want to just try and shop him. But
Well, that's a good basis for this conversation. I will note following that because of his attitude and his maybe some of his demeanor, if it's affecting the team, his dead cap hit is less than 3 million this year, and it's less than 1 million next year.
I mean,
I
I was just gonna say I don't think you cut him. I think he's a perfectly tradable asset. I think that people would want to get him.
I'm with it. Somebody's going to want him and at least test him out for 3.5 million.
Yeah, I'm still a big Elijah Moore fan, a big Elijah Moore believer. He's really good. And this is just collateral damage with how bad Zach Wilson has been. And not only has it like shown up in the box score and fantasy wise for Elijah Moore not producing, but it's really affected him in regard to his happiness and eagerness to be on this team. Um, this is I think you gotta you can't drop him. You keep him on the team.
Right.
I mean, if they really want
100%.
to drop him, like that'd be insane. And hope Wilson takes a step. If you go ahead and get him, he put up numbers when Flacco played. He put up
Yep.
numbers when Mike White played.
Yep. It's the quarterback.
So I would keep him. This team is they're talented at a lot of different positions, and he's a really good player.
Love the thoughts on it. Next team. I'll try not to rant on this one. Dallas Cowboys. Uh, uh, After this playoff performance, I have some new thoughts on this one. Pay and play or drop and chop Dak Prescott
I don't even know why this is a discussion
because he's not getting them places.
It ain't Dak's fault. It's not Dak's fault. Like I'm down here in Texas and the Dak hatred is absurd. Like this dude, who are you gonna get to play for him? Who are you replacing him with?
Well, that's kind of the problem with this, and that's my part B. There isn't a good option. There's no free agent. You have no, I mean, unless you're trading it to who are you going to trade him to the Raiders and pick at 7 and take? No, that's not going to happen. You're kind of stuck with him. It's a shame because the man threw more interceptions than anybody else in half the season.
Yeah,
he turns some bad things. He throws into spots that aren't where they should be thrown. I told Taylor after the review we did for their divisional game, which I didn't think they were even getting to the divisional round. I said this is starting to raise my question marks about Dak being the answer long term. He's 29.
I am not on board with any Dak slander. Did he not have a top 10 quarterback year? Yeah. But the offensive line was in shambles. Zeke is cooked.
What do you mean the offensive line was in shambles? They had the second least amount of sacks.
They were hurt all year.
And they had the second least amount of sacks.
I mean, that could also be a testament to Dak getting the ball out fast, or a reason why he's throwing interceptions is because he's not trying to get hit. He's had a pretty lengthy injury history.
Especially
they weren't a good offensive line, especially considering what they had been. I don't understand the Dak slander. I mean, I saw people talking about Cooper Rush being better than him. It's like, what are you talking about, bro?
That was a running joke in the Cowboys, and it was for like 0.6 seconds. It was like, no, that's not it. That's not going to be the answer.
Do you think he's better than 15 other quarterbacks?
Cooper Rush?
No, Dak Prescott.
Do you think he's better than 15 other starting quarterbacks? I'm assuming.
Like, so is he better than half of the league average right now? I mean, he's still
I
top.
would
He's
I would put
top.
him I would put him there right about there, 13th to 15th.
I mean, I have him 10, 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12-ish.
So I'm a little more critical. That's fair. I mean, there's only so many times you can narrowly miss or barely make and have the exact same result as a, and again, I think for this team, you took Amari Cooper away. Team didn't do any worse on offense. I guess there's a point to to your argument there is that yeah, he threw a bunch more interceptions,
I mean, what he
but
had 14, right?
16, 16 in 9 games.
It's not great. I'm not going to defend that. He can't turn the ball over that much, but I mean,
Oh,
it's just gone way too far.
everything else about him was very, very. He showed some pretty good poise at times, and that's why it's in my mind. As I said, it raises questions because what do? You, like if you start this next season 3-7, which with their cap situation and the way the defense is structured, totally plausible. You start this next season 3-7, or well, you maybe not 3-7 because you're past the trade deadline, but 3-5. Are you trading him for a pick at that point? Eh. Um, next, this one we should all have a simple answer on this. Tony Pollard, pay him, play or drop and shop, pay him, play him, restructure Zeke or boot him out.
Yep.
Zeke is
100%.
Zeke is just not. He ain't it no more. Remember when he used to run 6 second 60-yard rushes? Remember when that happened?
He's just got a ton of miles on him, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's got a ton of miles on him. He got a ton of miles on him when he was at Ohio State, and he got.
He says he wants to stay though, right? And restructures his contract.
there's opposing sides to that claim. He wants to work out his contract. His brother or his father, one of the two, said that that's not true and he's not going to restructure anything. And if I'm the Cowboys, I would be like, that's good. Go sign somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay Tony Pollard at this point.
Yeah.
Next up, New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara. Pay and play, drop and shop.
This
Now,
is a little tough.
can we
Go ahead.
shop? Well, we don't have to drop and shop, right? We can shop the guy.
Correct. So dropping is a loose term referring to he is not going to be the answer in the near future, being 1 year. Shopping does not necessarily mean signing, drafting, or trading right this minute. So are you shifting at very minimum, are you shifting away from this player?
Yes.
I agree.
You can get pretty good draft compensation for what is he, 27, 28-year-old running back?
20 he'll be 28 by next year.
28. You go ahead and do it now. His best years are definitely behind him, fantasy production wise. But yes, I would get what I could for him. He just doesn't fit the trajectory of the team.
Yeah.
The team doesn't fit the trajectory of the team. Do you know, does that team know what its identity is?
No, I mean, when you lose a guy like Sean Payton, who was just like such a force of just like a pillar of that organization, you're left scrambling.
Yeah. You're obviously, I think with Alvin, I think we all can agree you are attempting to trade him for at least the next year. I am
I'll
really
cut him in the
excited to.
draft.
Oh well, I mean, like in the next year in general, if it happens at the draft, that's your best. The sooner, the better. The
Yeah,
older he gets, the more of a problem it becomes. The interesting part to me is to see if they're going to go out on a limb and take a running back somewhere in this draft. You can get some really, really solid names in the third and fourth round, as we've seen. Shouts out to you,
yes.
Tyler Algier, Damian Pierce. So that's I hope that they shop him, not for his, and especially with his off the field things that have become we're not going to touch on it too much, but they're not good. They're frowned upon by many facets of life. So I
Yeah.
agree with the moving away. We are in the drop and shop for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Detroit Lions next. Pay and play or drop and shop again. Keep in mind next year. Jared Goff.
Oh, absolutely keep him.
I agree on keep him. I'm
Keep.
just trying to bring up his contract.
He earned his job.
Yeah.
He earned his job. He earned his contract too. Um, that team's gonna be good. He's gonna be good.
That offense moves. I'm gonna go with pay and play. Next year, you have to if he takes any step back anywhere, I'm reevaluating this next offseason. But for 2023 at minimum, I think he has his job. He
Yeah.
played really well. He has a growing asset coming who was didn't he didn't get to play with all season in Jamison Williams. I want to see them draft a tight end or sign one. I think that would be great that he can have a third weapon. Keep Josh Reynolds as a wide receiver 3 if you want. Don't care. That'll work out perfectly fine. This offense is high powered. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Team will look a lot better with some solid defensive prospects on it as well. In 2024, his cap hit is $5 million versus a base salary of 21 million. He is going to have to fight for an extension, and it happens this year. But I am 100% with paying and playing. DeAndre Swift, same team, pay and play, drop and shop.
Looking at his contract, pay and play. It's pretty cheap.
Cheapo, cheapy cheapers.
Yeah.
Oh, cheaperuski. I'm trying to find his contract because I can't see him. It looks like he's got a. Oh wow, that was all that he had signed. Oh, is this his rookie deal?
Yeah. So he has one
Oh,
more year
that's why.
left. Yeah.
Oh, you're probably. I mean, you're probably going to accept offers on him, but yeah,
That's true. I mean, if
1.7.
somebody gives you an offer you can't refuse, by all means. He had a shaky year to say the best, to say the least.
Which one is
I
it?
yeah. I I don't know what happened last year. We know he's talented. We've seen him do a lot. He just unfortunately can't stay healthy.
Yep.
I don't want to label him as a injury prone guy. I would like to run it back another year with him, and hopefully with a better defense, do a little bit more.
Totally agree. Um,
Nothing really, nothing else to add to it. I don't think. I don't know if I speak for Ian, but I don't have anything else.
he's just small. I don't know if
Yeah.
he's I don't know if I mean his shoulder was still banged up. He's a small guy. And that was the knock on him. But I mean, dude's absolutely electric, and that team is built to be going into these next 2-3 years and be
Hmm.
formidable.
Next one, I think we all know the answer to this, at least in the short term. So this is probably a two-tiered answer. Seattle Seahawks next. Geno Smith, pay and play, drop or shop. I think the next 2 years you pay him and play him, but you're keeping an eye open towards the door because like you said it in 40 or for episode 43, Ian. For now, you might be okay, but he's not the long-term answer.
Hmm.
I think for now you ride what you have, and if you come back with another, I mean, they're gonna have two first-round picks next year, right? One of
Yep.
them turns halfway decent. You're not gonna get to Caleb Williams out of him probably, but
You got the fifth pick, right?
well, it's fifth now because of how bad the Broncos were this year.
You can
But
get an impact player at that position. I don't want to jump ahead of you here, Taylor, but yes, another guy who earned his starting job, earned his contract. And yeah, you got to see what you can do, how far this team can go um, with Geno. And then if you get a quarterback late next year, whatever it may be. But yeah, Geno earned his job in my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And yeah, I think hopefully it wasn't any sort of fluke. Yeah, I think he earned it. I think you at least do one more. But yeah, I think you got to sign him to maybe a 2-year contract and then grab somebody and develop them over a year, maybe. I mean, if he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him, obviously, because he's been bouncing around. And if you can get 4 years out of him, that would be amazing.
I think I was about to say I'm going to pose the question, but I agree with what you just brought up. What should a rightful contract for him be? I'm in the two, and then put another option on it.
Hmm.
Buy yourself the year. Doesn't really matter who has the option. I don't think Gino would bank on himself too much if he's already happy there. Seems that way.
Mm-hmm.
Barring a huge change to something, he'll be happy in 2 years, especially if he's not playing all that well and it's in his ballpark. Yeah, he's going to opt in for the third year. But take 2 years, 3 years, and see where it lands you. They've set themselves up well with Gino, so I like that one. Another one that we talked about already in episode 43, our mock draft special. Ian was very right in this one, and I agree with him. Leonard Fournette, Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm dropping and chopping. You had drafted Bijan with them at 19. Super creative. I like that. You're going to need it gives you flexibility for that quarterback to not be ideal for this year. Like if you can still go 8 and 9,
bro. If they get Tannehill,
there you go.
You got Bijan, you got Evans, you got Godwin,
right?
You got
assuming both of those stay there. Which again, cap situation is a huge, but they have a couple different options they can at least cut some folks.
For sure.
Next interesting one, Carolina Panthers. This man is a free agent, but he was the most effective quarterback for the Panthers. There is an outside chance they do not end up with a quarterback at 9. Like we said, the first pick likely going to go somewhere. Who it goes to remains to be seen. But assuming they take a quarterback at 1, you have the Texans at 2, you have the Colts at 4, and a good chance with the Raiders at 7, leaves the Panthers assed out. Sam Darnold, pay and play or drop and chop. Let's assume they don't get a quarterback.
I mean, I said this, even if they have the possibility of getting one, I still like Sam Darnold. I think he's been working in the system for 2 years now, and both seasons he's been pretty decent. He's got a rapport with DJ Moore. If I were their GM, I'm signing him. I'm not going after the likes of potentially Will Levis. Granted, not Anderson, Anthony Richardson. Richardson has a lot of upside. If he's there, I do like that a lot. But even still,
we're assuming he's not.
Right. So. Even still, I would probably sign Darnold and develop Richardson. But I like Richardson. I mean, I like Darnold coming back to the Panthers. And we still don't know what they have in Corral.
True. I think it goes both ways. You look at the Saints situation with Kamara, and it's time to move on. And the Bucs situation with Lenny, and it's time to move on. It's in the interest of both parties. In this situation, nobody is offering Sam Darnold a contract. Nobody is offering Sam Darnold the potential to start for their team. So to me, he is kind of pigeonholed into going back to Carolina, and that should mean he should be willing to work with some sort of team-friendly deal. And again, that division is terrible. And they came on like gangbusters at the end of that season there, and he was hot. So yes, I agree. I give him another probably like a 2-year deal with a team option, and let him go. Let the rest of that younger core develop, and then if you get a quarterback here later, whatever it may be, good. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Interesting. Sam Darnold. I don't hate anything of what he does, but he's just. Is this a scenario where you're buying low on him? Because I think it is.
The Panthers
for fantasy.
So if he goes, you said he was pigeonholed back into going to the Panthers, which I agree with. You're not paying him 18, 20 million.
No, and
you're paying him 10. You're buying low, because if he comes back and has anywhere near the season he did for the 6 games he played this year, you're at 10 million. You're thrilled.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes sense for both parties.
Next one, Houston Texans. The only unhappy man in Houston, because no one else knows how to be happy, is Brandon Cooks. He has 1 year left. Yet. All right. Yet. Ian, I saw your face. Yeah, they'll be happy eventually.
That was funny. I liked it.
Brandon Cooks, 1 year left, 18 million. So we know the answer to this. Just where are you shopping him? Because he ain't coming back, and he's made it very popular. His opinion very popular anyway. That he doesn't want anything to do with a rebuild. My question is, who will take him that isn't also in a rebuild?
How expensive is he?
18 mil guaranteed
Oof.
this year.
I
It's like a
mean,
Baker. It's almost a Baker Mayfield situation. And you saw what they got for Baker. It's like a fifth. Like they basically got a pack of gum and a roll of Oreos for Baker Mayfield.
yeah. I mean, at least currently cap space wise, you're looking at like 8 teams. Seahawks who have 31.3, and that's the lowest on the
Don't need him.
list. Yeah, they don't
Wouldn't
need him.
wouldn't risk wouldn't risk locking her back up.
Patriots, Giants, potentially. Bengals don't need him. Maybe Ravens, Falcons, Bears. Um, I mean, I think Bears and Giants or Patriots. I throw in Patriots because he played there before, and maybe there's some appeal from the coaching staff, from himself. But I think Bears and Giants are probably the two of that list that are gonna, I don't know, want to go after him.
I don't think
I,
there's a big market for him.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
really
either.
know what I would probably just cut ties with him. Take the
Just
dead
eat
cat.
just eat the dead cap.
What
It's
is it?
all dead cap. 18 mil. It's guaranteed.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like you got
I mean,
shafted.
I feel like his value will be at its peak right around the trade deadline when you're looking at teams that have solidified themselves as actual contenders and are a piece or two away. If the Bears start hot and they're still a little thin in the wide receiver core, I could see them taking on his contract at that point, but with the Texans paying a significant portion of it.
But it already will be at that point. Be half paid.
True. Yes. So yeah, he doesn't have a big market right now. I you don't pay him, you play him, shop.
Well, right,
Yeah.
right. You're gonna play. You're gonna go out on the field and do the dance monkey because you have to. You know what I mean? You do the little symbols or whatever it is you want to do, but we need you out on the field because we're paying you $18 million.
Right.
Um, the Giants is interesting, but again, Ian's right too. There's no market for him now. The only thing is, no market is a lot better than Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not Isaiah Hodgins.
Don't
Maybe not
forget,
Isaiah.
people are
Wandale.
forgetting about Wandale.
Yeah,
No one's
that's
forgetting
true.
about Wandale, but you need two or probably three more. Um,
Yeah.
and just to be fair, and Cooks is a pretty good slot receiver, which is also interesting. So again, to Ian's point, you start off hot. Giants end up 500 or above, and they're just trailing the Eagles and Cowboys by a game, or just one of them. That would be a move. All right, well, I'll ship you a sixth rounder, and you're going to
Yeah.
pay a third of what's left of his contract. I'll take it off your hands. Take a pick, and I'll bury your sins because this is a cent year for the Texans, and we know that they're going to build. This isn't. They should not be expecting to win 10 games this year. I hope I'm not saying anything that shocks anyone.
They'd be lucky to win 10 games in 2 years.
Yeah. Actually, they should bring Lovie Smith in to ruin their number one pick. Shots fired. Speaking of the New York Giants, next one, pay and player drop and shop Saquon Barkley. I don't want things to get too testy, but his market value is somewhere in the range of 16 million right now, according to Sport Track, which is where he wanted it to be. Do you pay and play, or are you dropping and shopping?
I think you take advantage of his current value if you can, with the fact that outside of Wandale, I don't really even like Jones that much, but like you just don't have a lot of talent on this team. You have the potential of Wandale, you have Saquon, and then Daniel Jones. Like, what else do you have on this team? I think you got to kind of start some sort of rebuild here. I mean,
Interesting.
they are
a team that
rebuilding,
made the
right?
a team that made the playoffs, and it wasn't half bad for
I
most
still don't
of the
buy it.
season.
I still don't buy it. We saw what they did in the playoffs. It was not great.
Well,
They
no.
did play the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is a team that's kind of victim to the moment. Their success last season, which I think is definitely inflated. I'm with you on there, Taylor. I don't think they're as good as their record showed. Daboll obviously came in and injected, some new energy, some new life into that team. He had some great schemes. But guess what? The NFL is quick and they pick up on your new shit. They know what you're doing. They're going to make adjustments. If they think they're going to be good, and they should, I would try to keep him, but man, it's especially with the depth of the running back class this year, it's hard to justify spending $16 million on a year on a running back who is one cut away from missing an entire season because he tore his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
Right. With it, I think they have a giant decision on their hands. No pun intended.
Nice. If I'm the Bills, bro, I'm calling them.
Right.
If I'm the Bills, I'm trying everything I can do to get him and to make that work, because if they can get a running back like Saquon, good God.
Yeah.
The only thing they'd have to do is find some way to cut like 35 million off of their salary right now, but they figure it out. Get any type of running back here, and that leads right into the next person. And this will be our final one for part one. The Buffalo Bills have James Cook. I'm not going to necessarily pay and play or drop and shop James Cook. You're not dropping him. He's a second-year player and showed really good spark at times in his first year, especially later in the season, both on the ground and in the pass game. Are you comfortable going forward with him anywhere near split time? So are you looking like we're talking about Saquon, who'd obviously be more of a bell cow situation? Saquon, third down back, and at times would be James Cook. Are you comfortable with developing him at a 50-50 pace with another running back? And who might that come from? Because I have a couple of names in my head, but I also don't know if this is the best way the Bills should go about
it.
This is a lot.
If I'm the Bills, I'm like I said, I'm calling about Saquon. I'm trying to figure something out there. But other than that, I'm drafting a back this year as well at some point, be it the third round, be it the fourth round. You're looking at guys like probably Achane there, potentially Charbonnet for how far he might fall. So I'm probably drafting a back, and no, I would not be opposed to running those dudes 50-50, 60-40, something along those lines, just to keep, and I'm not saying that because I think it's a knock on James Cook's talent or the back that they go and get. I'm saying it from the standpoint of longevity, having these guys fresh for the playoffs. You're not giving somebody like we saw with Zeke 400 touches in a year, and he's, it's over. It's over. He's never going to be good again. And that's just, sadly, that's the life of a running back, and why all these contracts pop up for them, because it's like, they're great when you get them on the rookie deal. And you have a talented, explosive guy who's slipped in the draft because running backs are no longer a priority in this league. But, if you get someone like Bijan, how many touches do you give him his first year? And what we've seen is that you get a stud, you run him into the ground for 3 years. You pay first round draft capital for a running back. He's a workhorse. You give him the ball, and then you don't pay him. It's the Patriot way.
It's the Patriot way. What a shots fired. I want to pose something to you who could be great use to. I like your Saquon theory, but I'm going to posit a name who is a free agent who you could get on a cheapo deal for 1 to 2 years, and he would help James Cook develop exactly how you want him to. Kareem Hunt.
I feel like they're too similar a player. Like they're both.
Good.
What's that?
Kareem's very good. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I'm not arguing the talent.
we saw what he did with the Chiefs. Like he
is developed.
Yeah.
But he wants to get paid, and he wants to get paid, and he wants the ball.
Right.
Well, his adjusted value right now is roughly $5.5 million.
Yeah.
That's cheap for somebody if you can get James Cook to be a $20 million a year back. Well, maybe not 20, but 12 to 15.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams has 3.5 million. There's another one for you.
I like that.
I like that better. Yeah.
I like that more. From a locker room standpoint, in terms of the different, personalities between those two guys. And also, when you have a mobile quarterback like Josh Allen, you're not really throwing the ball to those receivers in the flat. So having a dude who is in between the tackles can get you those tough 3 yards on a 3rd and 3 or whatever it may be. Yeah, I like that much more than the Kareem, even though I'd probably say Kareem is more talented.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamal had a bit of an outlier year. I mean, anytime you go for 16 touchdowns or whatever it may be, you most often see a regression back to the
Here's a guy that has a deep understanding.
He does. He understands. And I like it too. And the thing is also surprised. I don't know how you get 3.5 million from someone who just rushed for 1,100 yards and had 16 touchdowns. Interesting.
running backs don't have any value.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, especially at his point, because you can draft, like I said, you can get some good value in the 3rd and the 4th round. So
the
so I
Bills.
thought-
What's the
overall-
Hines deal?
not good.
A disaster.
Okay.
I mean,
'Cause that's also a weird thing because James Cook, Hines, they're both more receiving backs. So yeah, I think they need some sort of bigger first, second down guy.
Mhm.
are you actually asking what his contract is?
I don't care at this point, but
Oh, okay. All right. I was just curious because I actually had it up there.
Oh, do you?
moving on. Well, I did. Now I just X out of it, so you ruined things. That's
If it's
gonna
more
be.
than $750,000, it's not a good deal.
yeah.
It was. You were not wrong. That's gonna end part 1. We will be right back with part 2. We're gonna. Well, we got another, few teams. Then we're gonna play a little short game of. What is the game that I even made it? Name that team.
that team.
Name that team. I wish I had a button I could make
This
that
is
for.
the.
I can do this one.
This is the opposite of who he played for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We'll be right back. For Taylor, for Ian, this is Derek. We'll see you in a minute. Woo woo! What a commercial break that was. It was less than 60 seconds for us, and it was about 20 seconds for you watching the video. We're back. It's part 2, episode 44. We're going to continue with the pay and play, or drop and shop, whichever way you want to go. Pick up right where we left off. Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if we're quiet enough where Zach can't hear us. Ian. First name, and I feel like I know the answer to this one. I have an opinion on it. Deontay Johnson, pay and play or drop and shop.
Pay and play, hands down.
What's his contract?
Not good, so you're not really dropping him. As 8 million base salary this year, 5.8 signing bonus, but his dead cap is 19 mil. So you're not really cutting him, you're shopping him. Not dropping him, but
Are they actively trying to extend him right now?
I haven't heard talks, haven't heard anything. Honestly, he's not a free agent until 25.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're not getting rid of this kid. No way. His zero, again, like the Jamal Williams 16 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns for Deontay is an outlier. And it happens in fantasy football. You got to keep Pickett upright. You got to give him time and let Deontay and let George kind of do their thing and see what Pickett's got. So yeah, I'm definitely with Taylor on that one. You got to keep him. He's too good of a talent.
I'm with it. I don't know where else you would find somebody, because you can't take away weapons from Pickett.
Yeah.
You just can't. And he was a good, once Pickett settled at the last 4 or 5 games of the year, stopped throwing interceptions, it was because Deontay Johnson started to get good. No, he didn't catch a touchdown. Najee Harris also got good. So, and the Steelers won a lot of those games. Shocker. Let him go. Keep him, build. I just don't know why, because I've seen some on Twitter. Oh, he didn't score a touchdown. That means he's not good. Oh my God, he hurt my feeling. No, Stop it. He's perfectly fine. To everybody who says they should move on from Deontay Johnson, I want you to take a good long look in your oven. It doesn't have to be on. Just take a long look in your oven. I'm not being that rude. I'm not that mean. I'm not encouraging that in any means. Next name on this list. We're not actually. I'm not even going to play. I'm not even going to say this name. We're going to move right along because, like I said, he built himself up in the second half of the year. He has a contract for another 2 years. It's still 2 years. Rookie deal. Najee Harris. It's 2 years, right? Yeah, you're gonna keep Najee Harris, and also the 4 week trial run of the other running back whose name I forgot because he fell off.
Jalen Warren.
Sure, he fell off the face of the planet once Najee got his train rolling.
Najee, most improved player next year. You heard it here first.
I'm 100% on board. It's kind of funny how the NFL script writers, spoiler alert, they were like, oh, Jalen Warren, we're going to split carries. Mike Tomlin's like, we're going to split carries with Jalen Warren. We're going to see what Jalen Warren's got. And then that same game, I think Najee had like a 77% snap count. And from there on, it was just Najee Harris's team. Jalen Warren didn't see the field. And I was like, that's perfect. Misleading the fantasy. That's what that was.
He was wearing a steel plate in his cleat the whole season.
I did not know that.
So he had like a Liz Frank injury in his foot, which usually ends most people's seasons.
Yeah,
right.
So he was playing with a full steel plate in his cleat, which was 100% affecting his ability to shake people because he still bangs. Like if you hit him in the hole, he's hitting you back. He's 220 something with some beef on him. So again, I think the Steelers are going to be better next year. I think Pickett's going to be better. I think they're going to address the offensive line. And he is my way too early pick for most improved player coming into the season next year. Again, he's on his rookie deal. You spent draft capital on him. You're giving him the ball.
Yeah. And you should. He's
great.
He removed so much pressure from Kenny Pickett.
He's a great
player. I just want to say that.
He is a complete running back at all phases of the game. Great dude, too.
Yeah. Next up, Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill.
They need somebody else, but his dead cap is 18.8.
Yeah, this is right in that gray area for me. Can I find someone better, but it'll still cost me $18 million instead of 27?
Right.
Because that's his base salary this year is 27. There is a potential out after. Oh, actually, there's potential out going into this season. Is that for the player or the club?
If I had a choice of being a GM between the Texans and the Titans, I would choose the Texans. I think the Titans might be in the single worst position in the entire league next year.
I'm going to touch on that in just a second because
their championship window has 100% closed.
Mm-hmm.
It was closed. It was very, very thin to begin with. It was only ajar. It was not open. And yeah, if I'm the Titans, I'm trading him. I'd trade him to the Jets, a team that's trying to win now, that has the capable parts around him to win now, and be like, hey, you guys missed the playoffs last year, so you can overpay a little bit here because you got to get into the playoffs with that team. New York media will explode if that team doesn't make the playoffs next year.
Yeah,
especially with what the Giants did. So 100% for me. You trade this dude, you shop him, you get whatever you can.
They restructured his contract in 2021 to create the out for this year. His dead cap for if this was last year, his dead cap was $57 million.
Jesus.
Crazy.
You have to cut him now. You have to do something.
You got to shop him. You got to get something for him. I don't think.
Oh my God. His restructured deal, his dead cap for the next 3 years. He has no base salary or signing bonus for 24 and 25. Mm-hmm. His dead cap is 9,246. You only save money if you cut him now. Everything else you're paying just to not have him there. He's got to be gone. He's got to be gone. How do you not? Oh my God, that hurts my feelings almost.
I mean, that team is a disaster now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They fired
And-
their GM.
Yep.
Right. Like he made the Brown deal. That hasn't worked out. You just lost Taylor Lewan, sorry. Robert Woods is gone.
Did they actually release Taylor Lewan?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Taylor Lewan tweeted it out that he was being released.
Was that recent? I didn't see that.
I'm pretty sure today.
That would be as recent as it gets. Because like I said, I haven't paid attention to football in the last 5 days, so that counts. He's not on this list so you're right. They have released him. Because he's not on the sport track list for contracts.
Yeah, that team is a disaster. And then how much? I mean, I understand that Derrick Henry is not human, but how much longer does he have?
Right.
Like another guy with 400 touches a year. Like,
yeah, this is another one. They restructured his deal after this year. If you cut him, you are only paying him to not be there. 4.5 to 2 and 2.2 over the next 3 years. He has no base, no roster. So he's gone.
Disaster. They're a disaster.
Their dead cap hits for some of these players are absolutely disgusting. They are guaranteed so many. Bud Dupree, you could save $7 million. There's Ryan Tannehill we talked about. You're not saving by cutting Derrick Henry. Jeffrey Simmons' contract is fully guaranteed. Danico Autry will save you $4 million. This team's $30 million below the cap, and you have no way to get positive.
I would hate to be this team.
If they're not, then we just talk the way out of it, and I'm getting nauseous thinking about it anymore. So
I'm upset as a Burks owner.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't. I feel bad for you too. Like in the arms. Next up, I also think we know the reason or the what's the word outcome to this one. Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson. You're not getting rid of anything. Is there an outside chance you draft someone as an insurance policy for 3 years from now?
You do what?
Draft an insurance policy for 3 years from now. 5th rounder, 6th rounder. Something in case you actually have to admit that this trade is a loss. Now, again, one bad year from Russell Wilson, hardly a reason to discount Russell Wilson for the Hall of Fame career he has had.
I mean, if somebody like, what is it, Hendon Booker, if he falls in your lap, sure. But
you sure you don't want Stetson Bennett? He's like 48.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of options with this guy in this contract.
Nope. You're locked into that for as long as Russ's contract is now.
Yeah.
Nobody's taking that. Nobody's taking him. Not even just from the standpoint of like, I think he probably had a down year. I don't think he's as bad as he was.
Right.
But the way he lost that locker room is the most telling thing to me.
Yeah.
And those dudes did not like him.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you don't want to take the $107 million dead cap hit for him this year?
No, I'm gonna keep Russ for that.
Yeah. How about the $85 million next year? Does that make you any warmer? He has a $17 million contract. His dead cap is so far above his actual salary until 2026. If he doesn't improve, you've got to be sick, Broncos. I think he will. Just say.
I mean, for as great as Elway is, he has whiffed repeatedly, particularly at the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's a bad track record for that. Next one, Los Angeles Rams. I think this is a valid thing we have to start being concerned about. Matthew Stafford, playing player, dropping shop.
Go ahead, T.
I'm pulling up his contract.
I can help you out. 27 base salary, 12 signing. His dead's 24. Oh, no.
No, his dead's 49.
His dead's
49 and a half.
49. I'm 2 years ahead. So
yeah.
It doesn't get much better.
Yeah, you're keeping him.
Yeah, for sure. You're playing the crap out of him unless you can get somebody to trade with, but I don't see that happening.
I don't either.
He is also not one of these quarterbacks who is going to last until he's 40.
He's not going to last until the end of this contract. What are you talking about? His contract's through 2025, option for 2026. If he makes it to 2025 and people are saying, yeah, we got to re-sign Matthew Stafford, then he did something right.
He's 33,
35.
35.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah,
making it. He's not making it through this contract.
Look, man, the trade was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Period.
they got a ring out of it.
You got your ring. You solidified yourself as the team in Los Angeles, which you needed to do with the Chargers moving there as well. Raiders getting closer. Like the trade worked, and this is what happens. You go all in.
Yeah.
You usually fall off. We've seen Brady do ridiculous things for 20 years, but that's not the norm. That's not usually how it goes.
Right. That's the exception to the rule. Next one, Washington Commanders. All quarterbacks. The best way to sum this one up is, what do they do at quarterback? They have literally, I think you drafted him in episode 43 in our mock draft show, and in the back of my head, I said this is the most uninteresting pick in all 31 first round picks. They have no outstanding help that can come from that pick for what they actually need. I'm just being honest. I hate the fact that they have to draft in 16, and I know that they're probably not. They're probably thrilled about it, but
They got Jake Fromm. They have come out and said that I think they've said they're gonna go with Sam Howell. Have they not? Am I mistaken?
yes, they have for the time. That is true.
Yeah.
Now let's pretend that that's going to turn out better than we think it is.
I mean, they got to be in the Tannehill Carr.
They got to be working on that,
because they're another team that is pretty well built everywhere else. The defensive line is one of the best in the leagues. They're going to lose Deron Payne. But you got Gibson, you got Robinson, you got Scary Terry. Jahan Dotson is obviously a good football player. Defense is solid. So yeah, if I'm the Commanders, I'm going to keep Howell. I'm going to try to retain Taylor Heineke on a very team-friendly deal, because he's proven to be a guy who, if you have a quarterback who gets hurt, he can come in and do the job. Mm-hmm. And when things really started to fall apart for this team was when the Commanders were playing the Giants late in the season, and they were driving. They had been neck and neck the whole game, but clearly like the better team. They just couldn't punch it in the end zone. And then Heineke takes a fluke, weird sack in like the red zone, and just like it's a strange fumble, and they turn the ball over, and the season just went down the drain right after that. Like it was the epicenter for that team to fall apart. But still, he's proven to be one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL. So if I'm GM for that team, I'm obviously I want to see what I got with Howell, and then I'm looking to get one of these veterans. I'm looking at Carr, I'm looking at Tannehill, I'm looking at what I have to do in order to get somebody in here who we can just make a run.
Shouts for Jimmy G.
Yeah, Jimmy G. I forgot about him for sure.
Yeah. Oddly enough, not too long after that, they went to Carson Wentz, so maybe that's why the season went down.
Hey, thank God he's a free agent. Who do you think will sign him?
He's done, bro. He has to be done.
Fried, absolutely burnt to a crisp. Is that little? Yeah. Anyway, this team has ways to make some money. They're only $6 million above the cap right now. Unfortunately, it involves cutting your two top cornerbacks, being Kendall Fuller and Cameron Curl, which potential there. Cutting Logan Thomas, which would not be a bad idea. He had that one sparkly season, and then after that, it kind of went all to hell. Everything else, it ain't really worth cutting. So, or it doesn't seem like it. I'm not the one who runs the team. I like running with Sam Howell, but I like your approach too, Ian. Go for this veteran quarterback, build him up. Sam Howell may end up being like one of the best, other than maybe Brock Purdy, one of the best outlooks for a quarterback, just because he had to sit behind these two shiny turds who were leading this team. And you're going to probably end up in the same boat as you were last year, this year, whatever, the year we just finished. Mm-hmm. So realize it. Hey, what do we got? And,
Yeah, no, I can see them doing that route as well.
Next up, Bears. Bears. The Chicago Bears. I'm trying to pull up their salary real quick. I don't know why I put Darnell Mooney on here. Obviously, you're keeping him. I don't know what my thought was on that. Next one's much more interesting. David Montgomery, free agent. Um, was okay. I don't say he's okay. He was a little more efficient than Khalil Herbert. Herbert had good sparks. Pass game pretty good for him as well. Obviously better than Montgomery. Do you really need to sign him? You have a quarterback, running back, quarterback. You have a running quarterback. You have a back quarterback. You have a back running back. I don't know. You have everything in Justin Fields.
You don't want him running that much because he's not going to last.
Justin Fields, you mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, you don't want him running the way he did because he's not going to last.
Right.
I think this is probably one of the most interesting ones on this list here. I think this is a guy who deserves to get paid. I think he's a very talented running back. Obviously, you saw what you got with Herbert, and this is behind a pretty mismatched, kind of misaligned offensive line that they had to shuffle around quite a bit. And again, using like the Eagles prototype mold here, you have Fields on this rookie deal. And just as the Eagles had Hurts on this rookie deal, they had Sanders, and now this question of Sanders coming up as well, paying him is the same kind of boat. And again, with the talent in this draft class, even though I'm a big David Montgomery fan, I'm letting him walk.
Yeah. I think you saw enough out of Herbert that you can get by with him perfectly fine. And to your point, Ian, you can get somebody else that honestly may even be better than Herbert late in this draft this season.
Yeah, and then
So-
you spend at tackle, you spend at the D line, and you go from there. And that team will be good.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be good. They were in a lot of games this year.
You almost
Yeah,
beat the Eagles.
Yeah, once they changed things up after the bye week, they were very much in a lot of games.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at with him. Even though I'm a fan of Montgomery, I think he's really good. You just got to pay elsewhere and get it back in the on day 2.
Yep.
You'll get a good back on day 2.
So that answers my follow-up question. Do not attempt to sign Saquon Barkley.
No.
No. I didn't think that was that was the first thing that when Saquon was like, he wants this money, everybody was like, well, the Bears have money. Sign Saquon. Yeah, no, don't do that. Please don't do that.
No. You gotta pay.
Next one. This is a fair question. Kansas City Chiefs, Juju Smith-Schuster, paying player, drop and shop, free agent. Like I said in our mock draft episode, he kind of wants to be in Kansas City. If you win a Super Bowl, it makes you want to stay there too. I'm not even in Kansas City, and I would love to go there after they win the Super Bowl. He was signed to a 1 year, the 10 million. I think I'm close. 8 million might have been $8 million deal. Are you re-signing him there, or are you attempting to access this draft in one of the many ways that you can?
It depends on what he wants. I think Juju realizes now that he is not a wide receiver 1 in this league. He can't be the guy. So I think that if he can take that into account, and if he wants to win Super Bowls, then I think he signs on a team-friendly deal, and I would be good with that if I was the Chiefs. Obviously, they're incredibly thin there. But it really comes down to how much he wants, because you're paying Patrick Mahomes $20,000 bajillion a day.
A front-loaded 8 more years for 46 million a base.
So, yeah, it depends on what he wants.
Yeah, he's 21% of their cap. It's disgusting.
It's worth it.
Yeah, I guess it is. I say it's disgusting, but they're winning rings, and here I am on a podcast. So who am I to talk? I Taylor, do you have? I'll let you go first.
I mean, my thoughts basically the same. If he wants to come back on the cheap, sure. Otherwise, whatever.
You got other options.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, he is
really
probably the best free agent currently. And that's not saying a lot.
Yeah.
No, it's really not. I give you that one. But that's also, you have to wait until like Keenan Allen gets cut. I
Right.
kind of like some Keenan Allen. And also, if you're thinking about, I mean, it's not team friendly by any means, but DeAndre Hopkins is widely available. Brandon Cooks is widely available. There's other people. They're not as cheap. We know
Right.
that. So, but yeah, you really don't have like who's the best free agent available if it's not Juju. Like,
From a wide receiver perspective,
right,
it's like
like
him and Jacoby Myers. I don't know.
Kobe's a baller though.
he is.
I
He's
I
really good.
I mean, obviously I like Jacoby.
I like Kobe.
I wonder why. Could you please elaborate on that a little more for us, Taylor? Um, all right, we're gonna try and keep this one calm, cool, and collected. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson. This isn't so much do you want to pay and play him. You're gonna try and pay and play him. Why haven't they paid him?
Yeah.
You guys don't have the answer. Neither do I. A Magic 8 Ball doesn't have the answer. Why the hell haven't they attempted to pay this man the money he wants? Is he really too expensive? Is he asking for something that's too crazy?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably asking for right under Mahomes.
I think he is. I think he's asking for 45 at last check.
I would pay him. I love the
I
kid.
would too. What are you going to do otherwise?
Right.
You have no wide receivers. So like, you know what? Let's join our no wide receivers with our no quarterback. It'll be great.
They have a formula there in Baltimore on how they build their teams. They really do. They just gave
John Harbaugh.
They gave Roquan the bag right after they traded for him. They got him
Big
locked
bag.
up long term. I saw some ridiculous stat about Lamar and his winning percentage with this team, despite his receiving core not having a single with that 1,000-yard receiver in his entire. Pretty sure, or no, Hollywood. Did Hollywood do it one year? Probably, but that's probably the only one.
Right.
And he was like 35 and like 4. It was just some absurd number. That is not the right number, so please don't quote me on that.
That's okay.
But just an absolute. I mean, he's great, man. He's the most dynamic player in the NFL. I would pay him.
He
Agreed.
was per Adam Schefter, the Ravens balked, quote unquote, balked at Jackson's desire to get a fully guaranteed contract similar to the 5-year, $230 million deal that Deshaun Watson signed with the Browns.
And I think they balked because Lamar is different than Deshaun, and Lamar exposes himself to injury much more often than any other quarterback in the NFL, but that's who he is.
Right.
And if it's like, the great Neil Young, it's better to burn out than to fade away. I'm paying Lamar, and we're going to go balls to the wall for 4 years. I'm going to put everything around him that I can and try to win a ring.
Yeah. I completely agree. Like you're not gonna go after Carr, Jimmy G. Like you're not gonna go after these other names and pay them whatever the heck they're asking. This team is not gonna do well. Like Lamar is your team right now. Unless you start to build, like you're saying, you're not gonna get anywhere with these other guys. So you got to keep Lamar and you got to start building and you just got to make it work. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. They got to get this guy to come back. And to your point, Ian, 49-21 is his record over his career, and Marquise Brown last year was 1,008 yards. So that was
1,008, and that was his only guy.
Yeah.
The thing with the Ravens is this also, because obviously when we do these, we got to look at it from the franchise's perspective and everything that goes on. They have a great coach. They have a great system. They win games with Tyler Huntley. They win games with Lamar Jackson. So they were incredibly fortunate that people were afraid of drafting Lamar and that he slipped to where he slipped to. And you're not going to be bad enough to be in that top 10 to get one of these stud quarterbacks coming out in any of these future draft classes, especially when you just committed money to positions all across the field
Mhm.
that are win now kind of players that make you one of the most formidable organizations in the AFC. I mean, this is, if it wasn't for the Patriots, this is the powerhouse team with the Chiefs now of recent memory
Mhm.
of the AFC. They're always there.
Yeah.
They're always a good team. So, yeah, I'm paying Lamar. If we can finagle to get him down to 40 mil a year and he can understand the risk that, the franchise has to take by signing him and paying him that amount of money, great. But outside of Mahomes and Burrow, like, he deserves to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
Right. Next one. Jacksonville Jaguars. We're gonna have about 12 minutes left, maybe 10 minutes. Jacksonville Jaguars. Evan Ingram. Only really key free agent on the offensive side. Man balled out. Had a great season. Was the tight end 4 on the year. Oh my God! Did you see that one coming? I did not. Pay and play or drop and shop. I will. I want them to pick him back up. The problem is they're 32 million over the cap right now. Yeah, it's not very good. I'm gonna look up their contract situation because I imagine the dead cap here is going to probably be very difficult to finagle. It ain't swell. Shaq Griffin, you can save 7.5 mil by cutting. Yeah, everybody else, you get your goggles and your floaties on. You're deep in it.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of guy he is in terms of whether he would go for this, but I think if they can get him to agree to, like, I would, if I were him, I would want to come back to this team with the season he had and what that's going to do for him. Like, even if, like, if he does it again, then maybe some other team's going to pay him more next year, whatever. But just, I don't know, going down in the books on being a good tight end, like, I would want to come back if I were him, but I don't know what kind of ego and what money he's going to be asking.
I mean, he's probably going to be in the range of 7 to 10 a year, at least, right?
Yeah, I mean,
gotta
wasn't
be
he 9 last year?
Yeah, but was he? I thought he was lower, closer to 6. So you're talking 12. They ain't got the space for that.
I'm sorry, base
Somebody's
was 5-ish.
He was 5. He was
Yeah.
5-ish. Okay, so yeah, so 7 to 10 you got to be thinking this year after his play, but they don't have the cap for that either.
Right.
So I mean, it sucks because you forcing your way in there? I don't know. I feel like he can find a home, and it's not going to be quite as useful as he was in the Jaguars. So I don't think there's
Right.
a lot of places that'll probably have that space. Ian, your take?
I mean, the franchise is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence clearly likes him. I'm doing what I can to keep Trevor Lawrence happy.
Yeah.
Good way to word it. Last one, Philadelphia Eagles, Miles Sanders. Drop the living crap out of him.
Yeah.
And
He
not
didn't
because he's bad.
He didn't do anything for you, and you have a whole bunch of defense you got to resign. I think I speak for everybody here when I say bye. Draft somebody. Draft somebody. Draft them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, but
Zach Charbonnet. Take a step. Go ahead.
Yep, totally agree. Just a salary cap casualty, another running back, high draft capital. You run him in the ground, and then you don't pay him.
Worked out wonderfully because he fumbled so many times in the playoffs too. We don't even remember it. Actually, the last like 7 weeks going back into the regular season, he fumbled like 9 times. It's bad. Time for name that team. We have about 6.5 minutes left. So simple. Name a team you can see picking up these free agents. I listened to your Juju comment about being the best free wide receiver. Number one list, Odom Jr.
What?
you cut out a bit on us, but yes, OBJ, that's true. He is a free agent, and I completely spaced on his name.
Odom Beckham Jr.?
No, sorry, him being on the free agent. I spaced on him being on free agency.
Oh, well, I mean, he didn't fucking play.
Yeah.
Right, it's easy.
I mean, I don't know if they'll do it, but Rams. There's been talk of Giants too.
How old is he?
Great question.
I don't have the
Like 30-ish.
30. He hasn't played in a full year. He's
Right.
coming up a torn ACL in the Super Bowl. he is not somebody who's going to play for $2 million a year because
It's a bad combination.
Right.
I don't know if we see OBJ playing again, to be honest. I don't know where he can fit. I don't know who wants to get who's giving him 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's paying? Who's giving that man a 3-year contract? He'll be 33 by the end of it, and he's not taking a friendly deal.
Yeah.
No.
What about the Bears?
No, they have better ways.
I can see the Bears. I mean, that's like I think that might have been the first one that kind of came to my mind. Does he want to go there?
Yeah.
Chicago and
No.
play in the 4-degree weather? I don't think so.
Next one, Sam Darnold. I think we all agree Panthers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Panthers. Jacoby Myers.
I'm gonna say roll it back if they can get him on a deal that is
Halfway
they can
team
all
friendly.
agree on. Yeah, I mean it's a complex system. For their benefit, they should want him back. But yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Pats would be a fool to let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Irv Smith.
I don't know where this man goes.
The
Houston Texans.
Toronto Argonauts.
Yeah.
I was watching some XFL the other day. He might
They
be
need
able
him.
to find a
There you go.
spot there.
He got played out of the league because of TJ Hawkinson.
I mean, look at those. I mean, he's another Alabama tight end guy. Same with OJ Howard. Absolute freaks of nature.
That means he's going to the Texans because OJ Howard just came from
I mean, yeah.
DJ Chark.
Lions.
I really like a couple of the teams that are in the top of this, like the Ravens or the Giants. He could fit in for not that expensive. His value is like $6 million.
Lions would be crazy to let him go.
Yeah. I agree. I think it should have him come back.
Yeah, yes, they have cap space. Okay. Damian Harris. Done? Close?
I don't know. I don't think he's done.
But he's like a reserve back.
Yeah, he's gonna be like Sony Michel. He's just gonna flop around.
Cincinnati.
How about the Dolphins? Interdivision, no running backs.
I think they draft.
Yeah.
I don't hate that either, but he's gonna need a place to play. There's a hole there. Jacoby Brissett.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
You think he stays there?
Back up.
Yeah.
Deshaun. Know the
That's fair.
system.
Makes sense.
Performed.
Played as well as Deshaun did. Yeah, that's pretty offensive. Mike Gesicki, another tight end. I don't know who's gonna pay this man.
I was gonna say I don't know who's gonna pay him. I don't think he wants to go back to Miami the way he was being used.
No.
He's
But-
not coming back there.
Yeah.
No, they don't want him. They don't want him anymore.
No.
What about Cincinnati?
I think the Lions.
Lions are a good one too. Two teams that need tight ends.
Mm.
Lions could fit him too. Actually,
Mhm.
Cincinnati could fit him better than the Lions could, but those are two good
He's
teams.
got to get better on defense too. But yeah, I could see both those teams for sure.
I'll throw outlier if they don't draft one. I'll say the Giants, but I think the Giants will draft one. I think the Giants would draft one.
I think they like Bellinger. I don't know if they would go, like Gesicki Bellinger. Is it really that? I mean, Gesicki on paper, probably, but
Sometimes I like the type of rash too. Derek Carr, last one and most important. Got about 2 minutes left.
I think just going based off of news, the Saints, like he put himself in a good position where now teams don't have to give up draft capital. So I could see the Saints moving forward with the talks that they've already had.
Saints, Bucks, Jets. Just to not agree with you, I'll say Bucks.
I'm gonna go the only one that's financially fiscally possible, and that's the Jets.
Okay.
Because they cut Carl Lawson, they immediately become $10 million positive on the cap. His dead cap is $330,000 for a $17 million cap hit.
Yep,
yeah, Carl Lawson, and that's only one. Like you can add the other 5 or 6, they can create like $30 million in space. Unlike our favorite team, the Titans, who've restructured themselves into cap purgatory until 2025. Those are good teams, all good points. That's it. We did another fantastic episode.
Hell yeah.
Great. That was another one of pay and play, drop and chop. Got some good chatter about some of these teams. Final thoughts from either of you guys? We got about 60 seconds.
No,
No?
this is fun.
I mean, it's only gonna get.
A job well done. Yeah,
Yes.
I had a good time, boys. Thanks for having me for sure.
Check out North End Podcast, especially if you're into soccer. Ian is part of our 53-man league, so when me and Taylor talk about it, we all kind of talk. We're in the league together, so it's one thing I didn't know before. Like we said, Ian, hopefully will be back on sooner rather than later. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it so much on the Fantasy Flyer. Stay tuned for we're gonna have one more trade and draft show, probably combined between now and the end of February, beginning of March, somewhere in there. And then me and Taylor will be in for the Magic 8-Ball series, which is our total rebuild of teams. It's gonna take a little while. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit. But for Derek, for Taylor, for my man Ian, my boy Ian, thank you once again. Good set. We will see you guys as usual. Listen to some Bob Barker. Have a good
Bob
one.
Barker reminding you, help control the
out, y'all.
pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.